leaving money on the table with first-time buyers? Most online stores do. Today, I'll show you how to turn them into repeat customers automatically. Let's get started. So here's the problem. Most online stores lose the second sale because follow-up never happens. So in this video, we'll fix that with a post-purchase automation using OttoKit, Fourthwall, and Omnisend. So here is the workflow in OttoKit. So why am I using OttoKit? Well, because Fourthwall doesn't have a direct integration with Omnisend. So for this setup, OttoKit is acting as the bridge. It catches the order data from Fourthwall using a webhook, formats it, and sends it on to Omnisend. So let's take a closer look at this workflow. So how do we set up the webhook? Well, if we go into Fourthwall, there is a developers tab down here under your site settings in Fourthwall, and you'll be able to see something here called webhooks. I clicked on create a webhook. We gave it the URL that comes in from OttoKit here. So if we open up our webhook here in OttoKit, you'll see the URL right here. We take that URL, paste it into our URL field here in Fourthwall, and then we select an event. Now you could have multiple events for each webhook that you want to create. We just did one for order placed, and that's as easy as that. And then what we did once we created our webhook, which is right here, you'll see it, you can do a test notification. So you click on test notification, then click on order placed, and then you can receive the data under the test tab right here, which is what you see here. So it comes in with tons of data for each order placed. Next up is the Omnisend action step. Now I wanted something important here. If the customer already exists, update them. If not, create them. And Omnisend's API supports both in a single request. So I'm using OttoKit's custom API action here. And speaking of Omnisend, since this workflow is sending a thank you email and a follow-up coupon after someone makes a purchase, I wanted a platform built specifically for e-commerce. And that's why I'm using Omnisend in this video. So when you log in, the first thing you see is a dashboard built around revenue, not vanity metrics, actual store performance. It's powerful without being clunky. Automations are one of my favorite parts. So pros trust it because it's robust, and beginners nail it because there's no steep learning curve like some other providers that we know. Everything is visual, and these pre-built flows, abandoned cart, thank you series, winbacks, get you up and running fast without overpaying for features you won't use. The email builder has thoughtful e-commerce tools like the product picker, which pulls items straight from your online store, such as WooCommerce. No manual uploading or copying and pasting. So since my workflow applies the tags to a purchase, I can trigger a follow-up sequence based on real buying behavior. If you want to try it out, try Omnisend today. My link is at the top of the description below and in the pinned comment. In order for this connection to work with OttoKit, you need to set up an API key in Omnisend. So how do you do that? Well, if you go over to your store settings in Omnisend and then go down under API keys, you'll see here you'll have the ability to create an API key. You click on creating API key, you set the permissions, give it a name, and click on create API key. When you're done, you'll get a key that you then will be able to connect with OttoKit. Once you have your connection set here, where it's our event here is the custom API request. And then under the configuration tab, this is where the API request is set. So how do we get this information so we can plug it in here? Again, we go back over to Omnisend and they have the developers information here for their API. And I found the create or update existing contact. And then I just followed the directions here on this page. So here is our URL that we use and our method is post. And then we add in the data that we want to collect, and we could test it all right here. Now you'll also need to have a bearer token or a API key to make this work as well, which is what we've plugged in right here where it says X API key and the value. With that set, then we'll scroll down a little bit here and we'll get into where we're mapping the data coming in from Fourthwall to go into Omnisend. You'll see here that we've got our data here, our JSON data. Don't let it scare you. It's basically identifying information that we're getting from Fourthwall and putting it into Omnisend. So, for instance, here's our ID. So we have to reference something to check to see if it's an actual contact. If it isn't, then we'll add it. And our type is email. Here is our tag. We're saying it's a store purchase. So every time a person purchases something from our Fourthwall store, they'll have that tag added. And then we're just mapping city, first name, state, postcode, all that information coming in from Fourthwall, and we're mapping it out to our Omnisend contact. And that's all that's doing there. We can click on continue here, and then we can click on test action, and the data will be added to Omnisend or updated if it's an existing contact. So back on the automations tab, here is our automation that I've created. Let's take a look at it real quick. So what I have for the trigger is the segment is Fourthwall store purchase. Now, how did I create a segment? I went into my audience tab and created a segment that anyone with the tag store purchase gets added to the FW store purchase segment. So our trigger is enter the segment. The trigger applies to everyone. Our exit conditions, you can set up specific rules for when a customer exits this workflow. You can also customize channel settings. You can do the frequency, and you can skip contacts who have already been in the automation. And then our next step here, after we've got our trigger, just like an AutoKit workflow, is an action step. And our action step is to send the email that says, thank you for your purchase. And I've got a little pre-header in there, delightful surprise just for you, my sender name, sender email address, and then here is our email. So we can click down to here where it says edit content. And here I've just taken element here from the left-hand side, and I can add in the text. I can add in information about the coupon code that I wanted to be used and that type of thing. In fact, all I did was I went over to the content area and went into hero, and I just dragged this right over here and I put it in and I just edited that. That's how easy that is. So we can just click on finish editing here, and then we can click on start workflow. And then we are all set and ready to go on the Omnisend side. And our last actions step here is optional, but I'd like to get notified whenever a new store order is placed. And so I've set up a simple Slack action step here. So if we open that up and we're sending a message to the channel and we're sending it to this connection, so you have to get connected to AutoKit from Slack. And under the configuration tab, we're using a specific channel called social, and the message is a new store order is placed. And then we're mapping again some data that's coming in from that webhook from Fourthwall. And you can do optional fields here. You can send it as a bot, and you can call your bot a name if you want. So I call it the Fourthwall bot, things like that. And of course, we can go in and test it all out if we need to. And that's the full automation from Fourthwall purchase to a personalized follow-up powered by AutoKit and Omnisend. It's a smart way to keep customers engaged and encourage repeat sales without adding more to your workload. If you want me to build the version that also sends the purchase product details into Omnisend, let me know in the comments below. And if you want a powerful e-commerce focused platform without the clunky experience, definitely give Omnisend a try using that link below. I'll see you in the next video.